there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. In the first hour of the broadcast, I'm going to give you content, information for better sex, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice, more strategies and gambits for having it all. The second hour is what I'm most excited about. It's when I get a chance to chat with you. Yes, you. Where you can call in, talk to me, ask me questions. And if you say the secret word of the day, you could win $5,000 cash. At the very least, if you're the most interesting call of the day, you could also win 10 ounces of freshly minted Marshall Silver 999 Fine Silver. All of that and more. Brand new Mercedes-Benz sedan or SUV up for grabs. My personal Rolls-Royce Phantom up for grabs. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information about its release coming up. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. I'm Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker.
Let me bring in our hypnotist, Marshall Silver.
It's Marshall Silver, ladies and gentlemen, the world's fastest hypnotist.
Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's Marshall Silver on a beautiful Tuesday, day after the eclipse. We have an awesome guest for you. We also have some cash potentially to give away. It is a sliver of what this show has already given away, $350,000 in our previous run. So we like giving cash away. In this run, we already gave away $13,500, not to mention 10 ounces of pure Marshall Silver given away every single day that we do the show and have live guests on. Today, we are going to have live guests. So if you'd like to be on the show, all you got to do is go to studiomoney.info. The info is there. Click on the link. We'll get you on the show. And that's coming up in the second part of our show. In the first part of our show, we are going to chat with somebody who's in an industry that I've always been fascinated with. I've got a couple of friends that just did exits for tens of millions of dollars both. So it is a field that I really embrace. I love introducing people to and love hearing about success stories in this area. Today's guest is Austin Glazer. And Austin is someone who's made a name for himself by challenging the status quo and implementing innovative strategies that have reshaped how insurance services are provided and perceived. With a focus on customer-centric solutions, technological integration, and market adaptation, Austin has not only excelled in his field, but he's also empowered clients to make informed and beneficial insurance decisions. Join us today on Marshall Silver Live as Austin shares his journey, his breakthroughs, and the things that have marked his career and vision for the future in the insurance industry. Whether you're an industry professional, someone interested in the evolution of insurance, or somebody simply looking for better ways to navigate the insurance landscape, or maybe you're looking to make your millions in insurance as well, Austin's expertise and innovative approach offer valuable lessons in achieving success and security in today's complex world. It is with a Marshall Silver, big, huge welcome, Austin Glazer to the stage. Welcome, my friend.
Thanks, Marshall. How you doing?
I am always awesome. How are you?
I'm living the dream, just like you taught me to say in 2019. I'm here.
Well, life is good. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in my office in Chappaqua, New York today.
Very cool. Did you feel the earthquake we had last week?
I did. I thought it was one of my neighbors potentially trying to make me angry, maybe rolling out of bed. I didn't know. Turns out there was an earthquake.
Yeah, which was weird because New York hasn't had an earthquake in that part of the country for 140 years.
Yes, I know. My phone has been ringing on the insurance side of things, people looking for earthquake insurance. So it's certainly been, it's unique. We're seeing all these changes and stuff. So just having to be able to adapt is certainly interesting.
Yeah, it is. The same week that we had a huge strike on the Statue of Liberty with lightning too. So
Yeah,
just
really,
interesting
really
stuff
crazy.
going on. So talk to me. Tell me and everybody else a little bit about yourself. You came to Turning Point in 2019, correct?
I did.
And was that after the 8% event?
It was. I think it may have been. Funny story how I ended up there. I had a friend who was just like this guy Zach Siegel, who graduated a few years from me in college. He basically was like, "Hey man, you should come to this." And that was right around the time that I just become my own agent in the insurance world. And it was just I had never been to a conference like that before. And I remember I flew to Las Vegas by myself, and I met some really great people there. And it's just such a funny full circle thing to be here with you today. But I was there, and it was definitely pretty impactful for me.
Very cool, man. So tell me about you. Tell me about what you've done. How long have you been in insurance? I know you're doing a whole lot of other things. Tell me about your success. Catch
Sure.
me up.
All right. Here's the spark notes. So I've been in this business for a long time now. I started when I was so backstory. When I was 16 years old, I lost my mother to brain cancer. I was basically put up for adoption and forced to sort of fend for myself. I was working 5, 6 jobs through college, like really, hustling to make ends meet. It was through this journey that I learned that I was pretty good at speaking to people. I wasn't very good at sports, but I was good at speaking to people, right? And the reality became is that I wanted to figure out a way to make enough money and do one job instead of doing 6 jobs and really like overworking myself and mentally not being happy. I applied to 100 different internships on LinkedIn. Only one company called me and happened to be one of the largest property and casualty companies in the country. I went on to work there. I was an intern cold calling every day. It sucked because I hate cold calling, but you have to do it. Eventually, I was like, hey, can I go do something else? I went and shadowed another rep in my office one day. And, I guess they said the rest is history in terms of I became the first person in the company's history to be a full time college student while also being a full time assistant on someone's team. I was making like 60 grand in college, getting full benefits. It was pretty eye opening for someone like me who had nothing ever handed to them to all of a sudden have all these great things handed to them. I was getting ready to go back
So
to
how
college.
long did college last in that environment?
So I was going back to college that year as a senior, and I was actually supposed to be the president of my fraternity. And I was like, oh shit, opportunity's knocking. I better kick the door in. So I stepped down as president of my fraternity, and I actually created like an office in my room in like above the bars that we go out to every night. And when I wasn't in class, I was selling insurance, and when I wasn't selling insurance or in class, I was at the bars with my friends. So it was the most interesting thing in my life. And when I train people now who work for me, the number one thing that I can tell them or teach them is the use of your calendar, right? Because that period in my life taught me how to be really, really like operationally sound with how I organize my time and how I structure my days. So yeah, I worked in college. When I graduated, I was like, all right, I'm ready to like be on my own team. I don't want to be anyone's assistant anymore. Like, let me fly. My manager said no. I was like, you need to do this, or I'm gonna like go somewhere else. I said it actually a little meaner than that. She gave me the opportunity. And at that point, I went on to in that first year, I had 11 months. I went on to become number 2 in the state of Connecticut throughout, this company with 50,000 sales reps. Time passed. I went on to become like number 9 in the entire country. I was like 24 years old at this time, 25 years old. I was winning all these reward trips. I was making high 6 figures. I was doing it, man. But the reality is I was unfulfilled. I had created this really successful brand on Instagram, Austin the Insurance Guy, and it was just doing things in a unique way that I sort of felt challenged the status quo. But when you work for a big corporation like I did, they don't really want to let you build under their corporate umbrella. There's a reason they're the corporation and you're the pawn, as I like to say, and you're going to have to build in their brand. So I said, I don't know if I can curse on here, but I'm going to do it just twice. So I said, fuck this. And I said,
Way
I'm
to
going to
plan
start.
ahead.
Oh, okay, good. I said I started my own my insurance brokerage about a year and a half ago, and now we're hitting the ground running. And the best part of it, I'm doing it my way, and I love every bit of it. So I'm catching you up to speed. I hope you were able to maintain the same pace as I speak at.
Yeah, so obviously you do a lot of things. What percentage of your life or your business is insurance versus speaking or investing in real estate or the other stuff that you do?
Great question, Marshall. So I would say that 100% of my time is focused on insurance, and everything that follows suit is because of what I do in the insurance world. Austin, the insurance guy, is more than a brand. It's my life. It's who I am. And everything that follows suit is because of what I've done and what I've built in the insurance world. You know, for example, one of my rental properties I own came to me from a big referral partner that's a real estate agent. Or public speaking, I tell my story on stage about going from undesirable to undeniable. And it all ties back to being what I believe is a game-changing insurance broker.
So tell me what that means. What is a game-changing insurance broker?
Yeah. So I think it's whatever you allow yourself to believe it is. And in my opinion, I think that the way that I work with clients, and I've listened to a few of your episodes, and one thing I definitely want to bring is I want to bring the energy, and I want to, not talk about the boring nitty-gritty of insurance. But what I truthfully do differently is I have systems and processes and the local feel that makes you want to work with me. I built the entire brokerage on education. You don't just buy insurance from us and that's that. As a matter of fact, I turn away about 45% of the leads that come across my door because it's not all about money. It's about working with the specific clients. And when you brand yourself a certain, and listen, I'm sure that you understand this just as well as anyone. When you brand yourself a certain way and you stick to that brand, everything that you've worked so hard to build over the years will follow. And I believe that the way and the positioning and the marketing that I hold for myself carries a lot of weight. And that's why I think I'm great, because at the end of the day, I'm my biggest fan. And I believe that our products can back all of that up.
So did you see me initially at Cody Askin's event? Is that how we met?
I did not, but I think it was right after Cody's event. It was at Vegas in one of the hotels, but I remember you saying that name on stage,
Yeah.
and you were telling us about that. It was a July 1st or 2nd or 3rd of 2019.
I just interviewed the episode hasn't aired yet, a guy in the insurance industry who just sold 51% of his agency for 35 million bucks.
It's awesome.
And I know, yeah, it is awesome. He's in his mid 30s. I won't name who it is only because the episode hasn't aired yet, and I'm not sure that he wants me to tell anybody before his event coming up. And then I have another student of mine who also just exited about the same percentage for about the same amount of money. A guy named Josh Lustig. So we've got some people that are making big bucks, building up their book, and then exiting. So because not everybody is in insurance here, a couple things I want to know. Number one, as a speaker, are you speaking mostly on other people's stages? Are you doing live events? Are you training sales agents? Do you have an agency? Is that a focus of what you're doing right now? Are you building up agents? What's going on?
Sure. So I'll tackle that piece by piece. So in terms of the public speaking, yeah, I'm more than happy to grace everybody's stage. That's what I've been doing for the most part. I have a small, I don't like the word small, but I have a networking organization that we've started, a partner of mine and where we basically go around, we host events, and I speak on those stages all the time. In terms of sales agents, and this is just a newer concept for me, Marshall, what I'm looking to do with my new hires is they are being put through my own version of a speaker school in terms of sales. So they're learning how to sell, and that's why I got into public speaking, just so you know, is because what I'm doing every day is sales. Even when I'm on stage is sales. And I'm sure you know that as well, right? And the reality is if I'm going to go 1-to-1 or I can go 1 to 1,000, I'm going to choose 1 to 1,000 every single time if I can make an impact and on them just as well as I could if it was one-on-one. So that's how I got into it. Am I training sales agents? Yes. Do I have an agency for that? No, they're usually coming in-house.
So you're in-house. How many agents do you have in your agency?
So we have 6 people that work here now. And we started
Awesome,
about a
man.
year and a half ago.
And tell me what's your you started a year and a half ago inside of that agency. What's your plan with that portion of your business?
Sure. So in terms of the insurance, I really want to be the largest insurance agency in the entire Northeast and then hopefully the country. I believe when you have a visionary at the helm in terms of someone who thinks about vision and belief and process, I believe that this guy can be, it's limitless, right? But the reality is until you get a great CEO that can sit in that chair and handle a lot of the things that that visionary might not want to handle, you might sort of be curbed with your growth. And if you ask me every single day, my goals don't change. We're going to build the largest independent insurance agency. This is where I'm meant to be. I'm not, and I'm 27 years old, Marshall, but the reality is I'm not going anywhere. I've been in the game for 8 years now. I love what I do. I eat, sleep, breathe insurance. And the reality is we're going to get there by any means necessary. It's a very nitty gritty industry. And right now is one of the most challenging times in the Northeast for insurance that's ever existed. And we're still
Why
chugging
is
along.
that? Why is that?
Why is that? Well, it's because, for perspective, right? So if we talk about what's gone on in like 2020, 2021, 2022, the housing market was seeing incredible growth, especially here in the Northeast. Like we're still seeing houses that are going, $200,000 over asking, $300,000 over asking. But when you go to insure a house, right, that's typically going to be based on replacement value. How much does it cost, plain and simple, to put this house back together, black and white? I don't care what school district it's in. I don't care about any about that. It's super duper simple. So when people have a loss, there are riders on your insurance policy for things like additional replacement cost protection, which I like to call an inflation guard. So if you're insured for $1 million, but you paid 1.25, you might get 1.25 even though you're only insured for $1 million, because there's these riders in the insurance contracts that protect the consumer, and they protect the insurance carrier as well. However, what we're seeing right now all sort of protects the client in the sense of like inflation, right? So inflation on building materials is crazy right now. The amount of time it takes for someone to build a house, the labor. Insurance companies aren't really prepped for this. And because of that, they're leveraging money. They're losing so much money. And look at even little things like that earthquake that we just had that you brought up when we first got on the call. These things are causing, first off, there's so much turnover because of what's going on in the housing industry. So now there's so many new homeowners, right? So if you think about a home that's bought, when you get insurance, you've now paid $1,000 to the insurance company. Let's say that earthquake affected your house and the insurance company pays out $100,000. They've now lost $99,000 on you, as opposed to if you had been a homeowner for X amount of years, they wouldn't have lost nearly as much money because that turnover is so great. So to tie that all together, what's happening is there's sort of like a supply and demand situation, right? Insurance carriers really want to raise rates. The Department of Insurance isn't allowing them to raise rates, or they're taking a really long time to do it. So a lot of carriers are leaving the state, and then it really becomes supply and demand because there's only 10 carriers instead of 40. I believe that New York, Connecticut, we're all headed to sort of like where Florida is in terms of insurance, where there's like 2 insurance companies left. I think that that's a forecast for what's to come.
So you're selling homeowners insurance, or what type of insurance do you do?
So we do auto insurance, home insurance, commercial insurance, and we do life insurance as well.
No medical insurance.
No medical insurance.
What was the reason you decided not to do that?
So it was just sort of where I started, right? I found my niche. I got in the game early and I said, how am I going to build this? And it was, relationships. I think sales is a relationships game, and I got really good at building relationships in my field. And that's just, don't change don't wake the sleeping beast. That's one of them. And don't change it if it's not broken, or don't fix it if it's not broken.
I see. I watched a bunch of your stuff. Took a look at a bunch of your stuff on Instagram, and it's clear you love speaking. It's clear that you love being on stage. You love presenting. You like being the guy.
Yeah.
How does that weigh in with everything else that you're doing? I mean, for me, that's all I love doing. I love being on stage, whether I'm entertaining, whether I'm educating people, whether I am just hosting. I just love that energy. In fact, right now we're taking a look at some buildings down in Southern California to build a permanent entertainment education production facility into. And again, you're in your mid to late 20s. I'm at level 61 right now, and so I'm looking at a legacy, just a place to kind of settle in and enjoy the rest of the ride that I've got. Where are you going with this? Is it likely? I know you're the insurance guy and that's your brand, except just looking at your stuff as an outsider looking in, my guess is that side is more appealing to you. The side of speaking and training and teaching is more appealing to you than running an agency.
Without question, Marshall. I think that right now at this stage in my life, I'm focused on putting the pieces together in my agency to allow it run autonomously so that I can go do those things. And, for people who might be listening in their home, they might say, well, why would we want to trust our business with this guy? Well, you're not trusting your business with me. You're trusting your business with the operation that I've developed and put into place. And then what I go do, and my ultimate goal is to have those pieces in my puzzle so that we can complete the picture. And then for me, when I go speak on stage and I bring in the business, I do love being the man. I love talking on stage. And my ultimate goal with that is to bring the business in. I am more of a business development guy in the sense of I love to be able to bring the business in. I love to host. But right now, being that I am in the grassroots garage days of Safe Shield Insurance, even though we're growing fast, there's no denying that as a young company, it takes time to put the pieces in place. So without question, Marshall, that is where I am headed. It's just a matter of when, you know?
And there's two types of speakers. Is it are you looking at being a speaker for hire that gets paid to be on a platform? Are you looking to run an education company like what Cody's running, or what's the plan for you?
So, last year I spoke on stage just sort of like at this thing called A to B Con. I've only been speaking professionally now for a year. And I spoke on stage, and the first thing I wanted to do, Marshall, was just tell my story in full. I've got the craziest story of how I arrived here and how I became who I am. And that was the first thing I wanted to do. But now, so many people ask me to come on podcasts, they ask me to come on platforms that I'm tired of telling my story. And I see the value in sales trainings. I love teaching people how to be confident, how to sell, what the process is. I mean, one of my favorite sales books is Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. And I always say, we're not selling penny stocks and we're not doing anything illegal. But the reality is, at the end of the day, this guy was a freaking wizard. And he was so good at getting you from Earth to Pluto back to Earth. And I love that. And that analogy stuck with me. So I think I'd love to do the sales trainings, although I'm open to both, in all honesty.
Cool, man. What type of properties are you invested in?
I own frat houses.
Well, that was succinct. What's that look like?
So basically, you buy a house, you rent it out by the bedroom. Typically, you're going to see, people like that are obviously college kids that coming in and they're in like an organization. And it's just really lucrative because, from a business perspective, that house isn't going anywhere. That fraternity or Greek organization or sports team, they want that house year after year. So as you keep raising prices, it's going to continue to get filled. And I mean, the margins on that are crazy, like crazy, crazy.
So tell me about it. I've not heard anybody that invested in
Yeah,
frat houses.
sure. So just like I'll give you like a loose example. So like one of the houses we have, it's 6 bedrooms and it rents at $6,000 per month, and our mortgage is $2,400. The numbers just don't exist anywhere else. It's funny. I was talking to a good buddy of mine. He's actually a real estate agent. He said, "Austin, I'm going to buy, a laundromat." And I said, "Really? What do the numbers look like on a laundromat?" And he goes, "Dude, I can cash flow like, 1,500, $1,600. I might buy in Staten Island." I go, doesn't sound too great. He goes, "Dude, I can't go over deals with you because where you invest in is so like, it's an anomaly in terms of the numbers. It's a pain in the ass. There's no doubt about it. Cause I don't pay property management companies. Like, I feel like I'm very handy. I have a pride thing, but we're also approaching the level of my life where I do need to think about what my time is worth. Which, I think that's a big conversation to have, but yeah, it's interesting owning a frat house. I mean, you see some crazy shit.
So I'm fascinated by that. Does a person get into that business? Obviously, there's frat houses in every major city. Do you buy
Yeah.
an existing house that's already being used by a fraternity or a sorority, or do you
Yeah, sort
designate
of.
a house?
Yeah, okay. We don't go that crazy. We don't designate a house. So what you do is for example, in this instance, there were these. So back in 2021, these guys bought this house, and it was not a frat house. A family lived there. They added 2 bedrooms downstairs, and they just got lucky because 6 kids, 6 upperclassmen for this fraternity were like, "We're going to live here." And then they hated the landlord. The landlord sucked. Like, he didn't do anything. He wasn't responsive. So they put the house up on the market, and my partner and I had already been looking at something else. But the market was so crazy, as it still is. So we got outbid, and it was just like, when we looked at this one, I'm like, my partner's name is Eric, and I said, "Eric, this property is unbelievable." I said, it's in fine condition. You're renting to guys. I mean, it's pretty hands off. Um, we should do this. And we bought it for $485,000. Now, Marshall, the only thing is you'll never see appreciation on that. You really, you probably will never see appreciation on that, but you're making
Why is
so much
that?
in cash flow. What's that?
Why wouldn't you see appreciation if the cash flow is going up?
Because I think that we saw a top of the market value. Like, I have thought about selling this one particular house for a bit now, and it'll never really, I mean, 10 years maybe you'll get 585,000. We bought it at the top of the market in 2021, 2022. The market couldn't have been hotter. So I don't foresee it as a long-term appreciation play. I see it as more of an immediate cash play.
And how many houses do you owe?
Just two. But you know what? They're making more money than I could have saw if I was doing like a 2 or 3 family. That was what was so crazy to me, you know. And I would potentially doing another one.
So you're in frat houses. Is that the extent, or what else you doing?
No, that's it, man. It's tough dealing with college kids. Um, you know, yeah, on the real estate side, that's it. I think that I got into real estate young when I first got my very first condo, and it's the nitty gritty, right? I think that, like you said it earlier, I like being the man. I like being on stage. I like having everybody look at me. It's not a pretty job being a real estate, like a landlord. You're doing a lot of work you don't want to do. I had to recaulk a bathroom on my Saturday a few weeks ago when it's like I work, a gazillion hours a week. The last thing I want to do is that.
No, nobody wants to play with their caulk by themselves on a Saturday. That's for
No,
sure.
never, Marshall, never.
What so as far as what you're educating people, I have trained tons of speakers, but I
Yeah.
don't train speakers per se. I train closers and crushers. So,
Hmm.
somebody comes to me and says, I want to be a great speaker so I can get a great speaking fee. That's not the kind of a person I would train. I
Sure.
train people and teach them how to lay down their curriculum. Here's your ascension ladder. Here's what you're selling on the back end. Here's your preview talk. Here's your
Hmm.
fulfillment and everything. What kind of a speaker are you looking to be? Are you looking to be somebody that, like I said, goes on other people's stages and gets paid? Or are you looking to create an entire seminar and training company?
So no, I mean, I think that my ultimate goal is to be sales trainings. I think the way I sell from a business perspective is what makes me so good at this. Every piece of my process is dialed in to a T. Little things. I mean, the littlest things, like when I send a calendar invite to someone, like me sending a calendar invite to someone for a phone call. Like these are little things that my competition is not doing. I am in an industry, Marshall, that's filled with boomers, right? I'm a Gen Z, and there's nobody using technology in my space the way that I am. And it's not even technology, it's just like process, delivery, and simplicity. That's what the consumer wants right now. Like the days of, what my parents would have had to do to buy insurance back in the day with their insurance agent in the 1980s is not, it's so different now. And I think that and that's the other crazy unique opportunity I have, Marshall, is nobody wants to sell insurance. When people reach out to me that want to get in this, it's because of me, and that's why they want to get into insurance. And then I teach them how to be a closer. So similar to what you're saying, you make closers and crushers. I would say that I do the same thing on my side of the deal as well. That's the stuff that fascinates me because I think I understand the psychology of sales. And I truthfully believe, most importantly, you could have put any product of me in front of me when I first got in this business, any product, and I would have been just as good as I am as this. It's just about process, and being good and knowing your audience.
Well, let's talk about that because I would agree. I love the process of influence.
Me
As
too.
a hypnotist, as a salesperson, my whole process is the process. It's looking at the breakdown and how did we get here? How do we get there? How do we cause 90% of the room to leap out of their chairs and race back to the back and joyfully throw down their credit card? So tell me what your process is. Tell me what your framework is, if you have one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, I'll give you a specific scenario. I know we talk a lot about speaking, but like my framework is tied to insurance because that's how everything comes, right? So, you know, let's take it from when a customer is referred to me or a potential client is referred to me. Um, on the back end of that, that's years of hard work of working with that referral partner to even get that. And I can lay that framework down after this. But first, let me take you through sort of my scenario here. So a client is referred to me. There are guys in this business that beg for deals, right? They beg for other insurance agents or other realtors, mortgage brokers to send them deals. I don't beg. I believe in what we've built social media wise will carry them there. So what we have happen a lot is people will come to us and they'll say, hey, how do I work with you? Like, can I please send you my clients? And instead of saying, sure, man, I'd love that, I'd say, absolutely, man. But there's a process we follow that's true, and we need to make sure it's done correctly. One of the main things that I make sure that gets happen is don't just give my phone number out. That's shitty. That's a bad way to connect someone for a referral. I want you to either make an email entry with both of us listed in there, and I want you to either that or use a text message in a group chat. I'm going to send you a preset text message that you're going to send to every single person. It's very easy. From there, I will respond to the client like this. Hey, team, Thanks, John, for the intro to your client. Peter, I'd be happy to help you out on this house that you have under contract. Tomorrow I'm free at X or Y. Marshall, one of the biggest things about me is when my phone rings, I don't answer it on that first day. For new business, for existing business, it usually just goes to my sales team or my service team. But in terms of a new business, I will never answer that call because I want to seem busy, right? And it's not to seem busy. Usually I am busy. So you're laying the framework down, I believe, right there, most importantly, that I am not just an insurance agent that's available at every single time. And I believe the consumer wants to work with someone who's exclusive, who seems to be something that they can't find online. So when I am, talking about my competition, which might be at Geico, I'm not available at all times. And I'm not a 1-800 call center, so you can always guarantee you're going to get me. So I'll say, hey, I'm free to chat tomorrow at X or Y. Which one works best? I don't say, do these work for you? Which one works best? I'm telling them that it's on my terms. And I would be curious to hear your opinion on this, Marshall. One of the things I talk about, and I've watched you speak, and I would say that you carry a very similar mentality. When it comes to sales, I would say I'm the alpha in every single sales transaction. I see salespeople all the time that pick up the phone and they let someone like you or me run the conversation. But the reality is we're buying the product. We shouldn't be. You should be hitting them with knowledge that they don't know as the educator, and that should sort of demonstrate that. Do you agree with that? I'm sort of curious your thoughts on that.
I don't. Only in that everybody's different.
Yeah.
And so if I'm dealing with an alpha and they need to be alpha, the best possible strategy I can have is to submit.
Chameleon, yeah.
Except it's one of those things, let them think you're strong when you're weak and weak when you're strong. So what you just described was somebody that submits because they're submissive. And there's a distinction in someone who submits because they're the alpha and they know they can submit. It's the lion that sits there, well, the lionesses are all biting him on the ear or,
Good
or
take.
biting his tail or, scratching at his whatevers, that just sits there and looks at them in amusement because he knows he's the alpha. He doesn't have to bite them back. He doesn't even have to growl at them. He knows. And from my experience, it's always better when we've got one of those types because I'm neither alpha nor submissive. I'm whatever I need to be for the task at hand.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's the
great.
most powerful person that we can be. And I think most people don't know how to surrender. And
Yeah.
surrender is the most powerful position we can take. Somebody says to me, hey, if you're so good or this offer is so great, sell me. Well, the moment I hear that, my own voice inside says they're already sold, or they wouldn't be asking you to validate the decision they've already made. But if you say anything that implies that, all they're going to do is argue for position. And so for me in my house, when I hear somebody say, sell me, I say, oh, hell no, nobody can sell you. You're the only one that can sell you. You're the only one that's already seen the benefits, and then fill in the blank. And
Yeah.
then when you let them know that that was their vision, that was what they saw, that was the ultimate decision they came to, then they're easy to influence because they, again, as all true influence should be, believe they came to that conclusion themselves. And I think that's the thing for me is that even when I'm on a stage, I was on a stage a few years back in front of 400 dentists, and I'd never been on stage in front of 400 dentists before. Something a lot of people don't know, dentists have the highest suicide rate of any profession in the United States. And it's a weird thing, and I didn't understand it until this conference. So I had done a show, an entertainment show the night before, and it was, if you'll excuse the expression, like pulling teeth to get people to volunteer and join me on stage. And so the next day when I went back to sell, I knew it was going to be hard. So what did I do? I walked out on stage. I looked at the audience. I didn't say a word. I waited for a couple people to kind of stir in their seats. And then finally I said, you are the most up audience I have ever been in front of in my 40-year career.
How'd they react?
And then I shut up. Nothing for a solid 10 seconds. I'm crapping my pants going, okay, maybe that strategy wasn't the best one. And then this woman started laughing in the back. And then the whole audience roars with laughter. And once I had done that, once I had established the truth, we were done. In fact, I sold 110% of the room. I had doctors that were signing up their entire office that wasn't there. And it's again, it comes back down to my belief that sales should not be covert. Just the opposite. I sell insurance is what the position you and your team should be taking. This is what we do. My outcome, my desire is that by the time we're done, you're signing up for a policy through us because no one's going to take better care of you than we are. So
Right.
it's in both of our best interests for you to let me do my job. And it's the same thing as you've seen me. If you've obviously been at our events,
Mhm.
I make no bones about the fact that we're here to sell very expensive training. And the
Yeah.
people that buy it and invest in it are going to get phenomenal results. And the only question I have is, to paraphrase a guest I had on recently with a line that I love, whether or not you want the learning to stop. And it's the same thing in
I was
insurance.
just going to
The
touch on
only
that.
question that remains is, do you want to not have adequate coverage, or do you want adequate coverage or not?
Well, I think it's really funny. One of the final things that you just said is, do you want to keep learning? Right. And I think that in any great profession, sometimes you can be in a position where um, you need to keep evolving. Right. I think that evolution is super important. And what worked for me or what worked for someone else or what worked for you 5 years ago might not work anymore. And that's why I love to have I love to have conversations with proven closers, because the reality is it helps me open my mind up, because I think being coachable is uh, the number one attribute you could possibly have as not only a business owner but a producer or a crusher or a closer, as you were saying. And
Yep.
I always keep an open mind. I'm always fascinated by people closing. So I really value some of the things you just said, and I absolutely will be taking those back to potentially use those, because sometimes I
Well,
will be honest
you
with
just
you.
said it. You just said it, Austin. You're a guest on my show. You're kind
Yeah,
of on the spot. You are the expert because you're my guest. You're the expert on
sure.
this show. But you were smart enough and humble enough to say, "What are your thoughts?" And then
Yeah,
be moldable talent. Again, you're what? You said 27?
yeah.
I remember when I was in my 20s, and I remember how my brain was wired. I've got 3 kids. I've got a son that's 13, another son that's 11, and a daughter that's 9. And last night, my oldest son decided that he wanted a room of his own and that he took over the guest bedroom. It's his time. It is the right time for him to do that. He's a teen, except it was hard on dad because dad's going,
Hmm.
"Oh man, things are changing." One son now wants his privacy and his own room, and the other son now has his own room. And my daughter, she's gonna, be moving on and growing up. And it's just, that's the thing, is that at different stages of our life, we know different things.
Yeah.
And so again, for me, the things that I thought were true as a salesperson in my 20s that worked just fine for me. In fact, made me excel like you're excelling right now. I realized there were some more elegant ways. There were other ways for me to be, including the idea that I don't need to close every single person I encounter. That
Oh,
some people,
I live by. That's like, I'm sorry I'm cutting you off, but now you hit a nerve. Like, that's a very, very big thing for me. But also though, what you said does really, because I feel that our process can have you in a chokehold. My process can have myself and our producers in a chokehold, because it's really the thing I drill home. But the reality is we sort of go from, once they choose a time, we do intake, and then we quote. And we're not, and this is a big one. Again, very curious to hear your feedback on it. You will basically, once I finish quotes, I'll say, "Hey, John, quotes are done. How does your calendar look tomorrow at X or Y?" They pick a time, whatever. Then I say, "I'm going to email your quotes 2 minutes before our phone call, so that when we go on this phone call, we are looking at these quotes together for the first time." Because, Marshall, if not, the first thing they're going to look at is price. And in my industry, I can't, if you sell on price, you lose in my industry. You
well,
win in
in
the short
most
term.
industries,
Yeah, and you win in the short term. But the second that Geico comes back in 6 months and says, "I can do it better," they're going to leave you, because you need to show them why working with Safe Shield Insurance, my company, is better. And that's why on that call, I always tell them, I say, this is going to be a 45-minute phone call. And I go through real world scenarios. I take them from, as I call it, the alphabet. I coined this concept, the triangle of protection. And I take them through all 3 pillars with their assets at the center. And the reality is I front load all of my education. So part of my framework is front loading all of that. And they don't forget that. And that is why typically our retention rate is so high, because we're front loading all of that with our clients. They'll never have a situation. You know what the easiest ask is when I say, "Are you shopping around?" You're shopping around? Great. Who have you shopped with? Awesome. Did they teach you about the triangle of protection? They didn't. What did they teach you? Oh, they just sent me this quote. Psh, that's crazy. I can't wait to make you a client. But that's the stuff, right? So I think that sometimes you're right that I think that it's so important to keep evolving, but I think I feel so strongly about our process that it's hard to continuously make those changes. Similar to what you were saying, I didn't know where you were going at first with the kid stuff, but that was a really good example because you should have felt like, hey, should I have done this sooner? Now things are changing. I got to adapt. It was a very interesting example you used.
Well, again, it's just the example is things change.
Right.
And again, that is, you said it right there. That is one of the best skill sets any human being can have is to be moldable talent.
Yeah.
And that's the whole purpose of the show, by the way. The whole purpose of doing this show live, which is a massive amount of commitment on my part,
You can't
is
even
that
imagine.
maybe one or two people will have a slight breakthrough that can make a major difference. I'm a semanticist. I love the study of words. I love taking any process and saying if we change one word or one frame in this process, what impact would it have? And so, when I hear other people speaking, I will listen and say to myself, was that an effective way to present this? My middle son plays baseball, loves baseball, and unfortunately loves it to the degree that he's very hard on himself when he doesn't have a good day. And I have told him repeatedly, it's a game. And even if it wasn't a game, I would tell you it's a game because
Right.
there's no point in getting angry at life. In fact, one of the things we've all got to learn, we got to learn how to lose because we're gonna lose. I don't care what your name is. I don't care who you are. You're gonna lose. And if you're not a good loser, you won't win consistently. It's
I
people
love to
that can
lose.
lose, learn, bounce back, do it differently, and
Absolutely.
win again. So I'm gonna give you a free tip, even though you're my guest and I'm absorbing. I'm taking tons of notes from you. But one word switch in that presentation, I'm gonna send you your quotes. I wouldn't say that. I might say, I'm going to send you your options. You contact me back and let me know which one is best for you. And I wouldn't call them quotes. I would just call them options because the assumption is they're going to choose one. And,
Mm.
and again, this is the sales process that I love playing in and talking to people when we're building out scripts for
Well, it's
speakers and
like it's
trainers.
psychology, and that's like the
It's
key. It's
everything.
psychology. Yeah. It's an
It's
interesting thing.
everything.
Yeah. I might even use the word present you. I want to present you your options because if you use the word present, it just it's like present is teach, right? So that means I'm going to be on that call with you going through it. So that's an interesting one. Yeah. I love this. I love this stuff. I think I like this stuff more than insurance. I've said this my entire life. I love, like you said, the semantics. I really like that too. Like I feel that that's it's not insurance. That's not what I'm good at. I'm good at insurance, but I'm good at the process and sales. Like that to me is what it's such a thrill. I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do. I love the sales process. People will ask me, what are some of the best experiences of your life? And of course, meeting my wife and the kids being born and great sex are right there at the top of the list.
Yeah.
But real close to great sex is watching 12,000 people run to the back of the room with their credit cards out, throwing them on the desk because of something that came out of my mouth. And
Sure.
so I tell everybody watching this show right now, communication equals wealth. And if you're not getting what you want, it's because of your communication always. And your communication starts internally. It's the conversations you're having right now, including while you're watching this show and listening to what we're talking about. It's the communication you're having internally that's going to determine your outward communication. And if it determines your outward communication and your outward communication is more effective, guess what happens? People follow you, people listen to you, people respond to you, people buy from you, people enrich your life. And I think that it's so rare for people to sit back and say, you know what, if I'm not getting what I want, maybe I'm just asking the wrong question. Maybe I'm just focused on the wrong thing. We are about, and I know you'll be excited about this, we are about to launch a 100% free 3 or 4 day, I'm not sure which it's going to be, 3 or 4 day sales training program. And it's 100% to help people like you and like I was when I was in my early 20s, when I was searching for myself, attempting to figure out what I loved. It's a way for people to see, do we love sales? Because as you know, as it happened for you, it happened for me. Sales changed my entire life.
Yes.
Sales gave me a house on the beach. It gave me a palace in Las Vegas. It allows me to fly on private jets, take my wife on a $150,000 anniversary trip. It's what made my life what it is today. And so we're going to train salespeople totally free. They'll put down a deposit, $495 deposit. If they complete the training, they get the deposit back. Nothing is sold to them at the event. All it is training. With the business model being, if they want to be placed, all they got to do is tell us, this is the type of business I want to be in: insurance, I want to be in mortgage, I want to be in pharmaceutical, I want to be in fill in the blank. And they'll tell us where they want to go, and we'll say, great, here's your options. We'll place you. If we place you, then you pay us. But if we don't place you, take the training, go on your own, do whatever you want to do, and make a fortune. I just think that,
Smart.
salespeople, we are the cornerstone of the economy. And
Absolutely.
when sales are going well, the economy is going well. And so that's my way of helping out my world, the world that's blessed me so much. At the
Also a
end of the
very
day,
interesting play. It's also a very interesting play, though, Marshall. I mean, you're also venturing into sort of a new territory in terms of in terms of what you do as like your internal organization. It's almost you smart. You're sort of like getting. I don't know if this is right, but it's sort of like the recruiting space a little bit.
kind of,
Um, smart. That's cool.
it's a reverse engineer of a converting of a that kind of a space. I was approached by two different people, somebody in the insurance business.
Hmm.
And we were talking about me training salespeople. He had seen me speak on numerous occasions. And he said, man, you should come train my salespeople. I said, I could do that. I said, which would be better for me to do? Train your salespeople, the existing ones you have, or find new ones for you? If you had to choose one or the other, which would you choose? And he said, hands down, find me new ones. He
Right.
said, I may not be the best, but I'm certainly good enough to train them. If you could bring me 50 to 100 new salespeople a month, I'd take them all. And I
Yeah.
asked him, I said, what would you pay me per person? He gave me a number. And he said, not only that, because it's insurance, he said, I'll give you not only an upfront fee, I'll give you a percentage of their production too. And I
That's a
said, well,
good
there you
deal.
go. And again, it's the idea that salespeople, we are the cornerstone of the economy. And so if you're a salesperson watching this, if you're a business owner watching this, if you're somebody who sells products, services, concepts, ideas, just know that you're what makes the economy good or bad. 100%.
100%.
So before we wrap up this conversation, it's been great having you on the show. Before we wrap up the conversation, anything else you want to share with the folks that are watching the show, or are there any resources that you can make available to people, PDFs or training, or free stuff?
Listen, I think at the end of the day, I try to wrap up every podcast the same way, and I would tell them that sales is a grind. Mental health is the most important thing in the entire world. And if you let that next deal be your final deal because of the way it makes you feel, you're doing it wrong. Make sure you're still taking that time to focus on yourself, focus on the growth and where you want to be. Everything you do is a marathon, it's not a sprint, and just take a breath. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Austin Glazer. I love insurance. We love insurance, and you should buy some from us. Thanks for having me on, Marshall.
You're very welcome. I realize that we covered a sliver of the information that you want to give, and I look forward to seeing you in person. You should come back to Turning Point. If you
I
haven't
should.
been
I got
for,
to do Vegas again.
yeah, you got to come to Vegas. We've got one coming up next month, and then I think we're back in Vegas in July. But certainly come join us in May. I would love to have you there. Not only get to know you better, also have you take a look at what our sales process is these days, and have more fun with it. You take care, brother.
Okay, guys. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Life is good. You're awesome. We just have the most fascinating guests. Even if I wasn't doing this show, even if you weren't watching, I would do the show anyway, as an interview of these people, because every single time we have guests on, I learn new things, I come to new awarenesses, and I pray that you're doing the same thing. Hey, speaking of new awarenesses, we got $9,000 cash up for grabs. Did you see the eclipse yesterday? I did. I watched it. We're in San Diego, so it wasn't the same as it was in other parts of the world. But I was laughing because I saw some memes come up on Facebook, and the memes were all about flat earthers. Flat earthers. What are you going to say now? We're watching the moon go in front of the sun, and I saw some flat earthers responding to those questions, and they were saying, yeah, the moon and the sun, they're both round, but the earth is flat. There's no understanding stupid people. There just isn't. And if you're a flat earther and I just called you stupid, I apologize. You're not stupid. You're misinformed. So keep watching the show, and we'll get you back to the round earth soon enough. Hey, we're about to take a short break, as we do at this point in the show. Going to show you a couple of videos about Turning Point and First Million, the event we were just talking about. I'm also going to escape over to the vault. Why do I escape to the vault? Because there we can talk about sex, money, power. You might even say the secret word of the day, or just be fascinating, or just beautiful. I like beautiful people. And if you're fascinating and you're voted on by your peers as being the most awesome call of the day, well, you could be rewarded with 10 ounces. Man, this thing is heavy. 10 ounces of pure Marshall silver. And that is coming up for grabs. Guaranteed going to give away the silver, might give away the money. If we don't give away the cash, then as you know, it goes up $500 every single day. I have given you some clues on what the word of the day is. So let's see if you can get it. Take a look at this, and we'll see you in the vault.
Turning Point. A total change in direction for the better.
Who here is ready for a turning point? You absolutely have to have one. Put them high.
The 2-day Turning Point seminar is different than any other program in that it does more than just teach you the skills for your relationships, wealth, and power. It also programs you on a subconscious level to put those skills into immediate use.
This weekend is about empowerment. This weekend is about you understanding how to take charge of your own life.
You will learn total control of your thoughts and emotions. How to use PND, or psychoneural duplication, to take on the thoughts and actions of others to produce similar results. Whether it's losing weight, changing habits, being a millionaire.
When you think what a millionaire thinks and you do what a millionaire does, you'll produce similar results.
You will learn to program these powerful tools at a subconscious level for immediate and lasting results.
Your conscious mind is what's called your critical factor. It's the mind you're using right now to determine whether the information I'm giving to you will work for you or not. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, is merely a computer. It's non-critical. It doesn't even have the ability to make judgment. So all trance, hypnosis, reprogramming is setting aside the critical factor of your conscious mind and non-critically accepting suggestions.
And empowering.
To make a fear vanish, you must experience it fully.
As it helps you create your life exactly the way you want it. Bring your family closer. Find the love of your life. Create strategies for wealth. Learn irresistible influence, and so much more. Because of the intimate nature of this course, seats are very limited. Register now before your life passes you by and there are no more turning points for you. Tens of thousands of people have learned this information and are using it daily.
You don't get angry if you get fired from your job and you know that within 2 years you will be a multi-millionaire.
It's your time.
There's a way for you to win this game that is different than how you're doing it, and it works.
It's your life.
When you learn how to do that, you become more powerful, and power is for use.
It's your turning point.
Isn't it time for your first million? Wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to do what you love and learn how to monetize that on a 7-figure level? Do you want to know exactly what you need to do and what not to do to have your biggest year ever? If not now, when? First Million. A 2-day subconscious learning experience that both teaches and programs you with the personality traits and habits of multimillionaires. At First Million, you'll learn how to take almost any wealth vehicle to a 7-figure level or better. You'll learn how to stop using vehicles that don't work, are too difficult, or simply unsuited for you. Making money is supposed to be fun. Stop living your life, getting ready to live your life, and start living a life of adventure. First Million was crafted to not just change what you do, it's also going to change who you are. Instead of trying to become a millionaire, you'll learn that you're already a millionaire, even if the money has not yet been deposited in your bank account. Beyond mindsets, You'll learn the actual personality traits of multimillionaires, so you'll naturally do what millionaires do to produce a similar result. One of the key personality traits of a millionaire is charisma. Imagine being able to walk into a room and without speaking a word, have the entire room drawn to you. Imagine others hanging on your every word, wanting to be near you, to be in business with you, and hungry to buy whatever you're selling. First Million will teach you how to use the charisma that politicians, entertainers, CEOs, and celebrities use to move nations and make millions. You'll also learn how to get more done in less time. You'll learn priority management and what the highest and best use of your time is. You'll learn laser-like focus upon IGAs, or income-generating activities, and you'll learn to let go of anything below your pay grade. What if you had more customers than you ever imagined? What if they came right to you and fought to buy from you? At First Million, you'll learn attraction marketing and strategies to get others to pay you for your marketing and advertising before they even purchase your offer. When you attend Your First Million, you'll begin to see an overwhelming amount of amazing opportunities all around you. You'll look through the matrix and easily identify target-rich environments. You'll learn dovetailing and stacking strategies to acquire more customers and do more business with the customers you already have. Unless something is sold, no money is made. Whether you're a sales pro, a novice, or even scared to death of selling something, Your First Million is going to have you fall in love with influence and enjoy it as the game that it is. When you believe in what you're selling, you're obligated to sell it. You'll learn exact language patterns of influence and persuasion. You'll learn how to get others to ask you for what you're selling and have them believe it was their idea. You'll become dynamically able to use arcing statements, direct links, embedded commands, and so much more. An entire tool belt of selling gambits will be yours after you get to Your First Million. As a First Million alumni, you will be clear on what you need to do to GTFM, or get the freaking money. You deserve great wealth, and Your First Million will help to raise your self-esteem around the topic of money. The amount of money you make will always be determined by your own self-image. You'll learn what billion-dollar corporations already know about outsourcing, how to get anything below your pay grade done for pennies on the dollar. Your First Million will give you the groundwork to understand presentation skills and the highest paid profession on the planet, public speaking. When you graduate from Your First Million, you'll be able to create presentations that inspire with confidence and power. If all that weren't enough, there's so much more. Making Your First Million is almost certainly going to require that you manage at least a small team. You'll walk out of the course with the knowledge of how to lead teams and synergistically get more done in less time. Technology has made our lives so much easier as we've learned how to harness it. The First Million course will teach you what is up to date and available in technology so that you can use that cutting-edge technology to get more done and have more fun. You'll also learn how to harness the power of the internet for massive passive profits. Every time you attend Your First Million, you'll learn new technology and internet marketing strategies, as these two portions of the class change every time you attend. It's like getting a brand new seminar each time you come. If you're a representative, you may attend Your First Million as often as you like, totally free, with your enrollment in the First Million course. If you're not yet a rep, or if you have not yet invested in Your First Million, enroll now. Everything begins in thought, and you know what you want to say. Go ahead, say it now. Say it out loud. I'm ready for my first million.
Hey, welcome back. We are in the vault on 4924, $9,000 up for grabs on the Marshall Silver Show when you say the secret word of the day contained inside of this slip of paper. Also, you could potentially win 10 ounces of pure Marshall silver, a gorgeous little silver bar with my logo on it, never to be spent. It's a collector's item, but with the increase in what silver and gold are doing right now, going to be worth a whole lot more very quickly. I'd like to take your calls. We are live in the studio. The more calls, the better. And today we have somebody I don't think we've seen on the phone before. Crystal, welcome to the show. I don't have a note from Anthony, so I'm not really sure what the call is regarding. I'm going to find out right now. Welcome home.
Hello, Marshall. So I have to give you some kudos here. Okay.
Yes, you do.
I've been trying to get on, and I'm not an IT person by any means. And clearly on
That
the
makes two
opposite
of
side.
us.
Yeah, on the opposite side of the scale.
Me
And
too.
but Adam, I went on, whatever they did, he said they just streamlined some stuff. Seamless, seamless. The other,
Yay.
yes, the other thing, I'm just starting out, so I'm just getting ready to I'm in conversations with my programmer to do my website. And I have always been in business off and on in different projects, growing up with a family business and stuff also. But I'm always watching how people market themselves. You've got the greatest website I have ever seen. So I don't know if you have your own IT people doing that or if you had a company doing that, but it makes you want to stay there and it makes you feel good. So
Good.
kudos to that. I'm going to
So
see you in
where are you calling in from?
Colorado.
Lovely. How did you find out about my show?
Well, I was just going to say, I want you to thank Marcus for having you on because I'm going to go
Oh,
to
yay.
Turning Points with that gift you offered. So thank you. I'll see you soon.
Yep.
And but that's how I got introduced to you. And I thought this show, then obviously through the email, I found out about this show that you've been doing. And
Yep.
so, which has just been the last, week or so. And I've attended every single one except for yesterday. Value information. So thank you. So
Marcus
here's,
Rothkranz is one of my favorite people in the world.
I'll tell you what, well, I was ill. And so I had to heal myself and I did it naturally. And I got to a certain point and it's like, okay, God, I can go back to work. What am I going to do? And next thing I know, I'm signing up for nutrition school. But just as I went into that, I just started seeing about Marcus and this other doctor that I ended up training under and learning about raw. And I'm telling you, that is the way to go.
Yep.
Yeah, so I've watched close Marcus and Kara. I mean, people are doing it right when they look great, right?
Oh, they look amazing. They look 20 years younger than they are.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely amazing. So here I am. Here's my getting ready for my question. I'm also 61 years old, starting
Lovely.
live.
You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Starting live all over again. And I'm sure you've heard the expression burn the boat.
Mhm.
Because I got done with school, sold everything, even my car to finish all my schooling, and COVID hit. So there
Yeah.
was no money to pay me to stay home, during all that time. So, and then I couldn't meet with people because of all the rules and regulations. So, and there's not a lot of jobs. I'm in a very tiny town. So I finally got to the point where here I am. I'm burning the boat. I'm not even going to take the next job opportunity that I have lined up because I need to focus on this because I'm going to make more money doing this than I can an hourly wage working for somebody else. So
Yep.
my question, if you can kind of not just for me, but for others, where I have a couple thousand, right, that I have to work with. And so my main question is basically about funnels because this is what I was going to do. I'm going to work with people individually and I was going to do it through Zoom calls. I'm going to get a website. I have a free offer to kind of pull people in. So at least I can start getting email addresses so I can start sending them future information. And I studied a few months back ClickFunnels and want to know how you felt about it. And then I was going back in, had time to research you more. And it's like, okay, you're using ClickFunnels, but what is your recommendation for somebody starting out? Because to me, to use ClickFunnels, I need to have a bunch of upgrades, right? Because that's part of the process of using it.
Yeah.
And then there was where they're talking, you just need ClickFunnels. You just need a funnel. You don't need a website. And then I heard somebody say, well, really, if you combine them both, which really looks like what you've done, you got a website, but then you click on your course and it takes you into, it looks like a funnel. And so what's your recommendation? When should, obviously you believe in funnels, I would assume, but when should you start using them? How many upgrades should you have? And can you use it without an upgrade? Or do you think it's not financially worth it?
I love you. Those are great questions. Everything's changed, and not really. Everything's a funnel. You know, a website is a funnel, whether it's got a funnel aspect to it or whether there's a clear path to getting something sold. A good website is a funnel. You're online, you're looking for something. Maybe you're looking for somebody to help transform your mind. Your body's doing great, and you're watching your friend Marcus, and he does an interview with a guy like me, and you go, "Hey, that guy's interesting, and he seems to know something about psychology and the mind." And I've done so well with my physical health. Maybe it's time for me to start expanding the mental part of my being. Everything's a funnel, so I don't think there's a distinction anymore. I think the only distinction is people like Russell Brunson and the folks over at Go High Level and other platforms. What's the one? It'll come to me in a second. But there's so many types of software available. Builderall is the other one I was thinking of. There's so many types of software like Groove or ClickFunnels that you can choose any of them. So that is a given. But there's two major points I want to make. We have settled into uh, we've settled into using Go High Level. And the reason we're using Go High Level, I like it better. I've been using ClickFunnels for a long time. I think, frankly, the software and the platform isn't what it used to be. I think Russell's gone a different direction with his career and his business, maybe gotten fat and happy or whatever it is. But I think that the superior platform right now is Go High Level. The other thing is I'm not a marketer. I'm not a tech guy. I have ideas. I know what I'm selling. I know who I want to sell to, and I know how I want them to buy. And all of the above taken into consideration, I don't want to work in the software. And so I'm not going to go into the software. I'm going to hire somebody. There's tons of resource available for people that you can buy on a subscription that can build your funnels for you for fairly cheap, get your stuff out there. Because at the end of the day, you're there to sell something. You're there to be the brand. You're there to be the talent. Judging by the way you're dressed with your cool hat and your beautiful styling, your whole environment, you're somebody that pays attention to styling. You're somebody that pays attention to aesthetics. Obviously, that's why you're a fan of Marcus and Kara as well. They're the same kind of people. I'm the same kind of a person. I like aesthetics. I like the experience of things. And so my recommendation to you is that if you're going to go with a platform, this is just my experience. There's people that will argue all day long for their platform. My experience, because I've worked with most of them, is Go High Level is staying ahead of the curve. They got a lot of resources. We're moving everything over to Go High Level. So you check out that software. You're going to see it's very similar to ClickFunnels. You're not going to see the number of people on it that you see on ClickFunnels because the brilliant thing that Russell did was created the 2 Comma Club. And what is that? It's success stories of people that have used his platform. And since everybody wants to be recognized by their peer, everybody either is a member of the 2 Funnel Club or they make a claim that they are. And there you go. That's what built ClickFunnels. And then on the other piece of not doing it yourself, don't even attempt to spend the time online and learn all about that unless you enjoy it. I mean, if you love tech, if you love marketing, then go ahead. But you said already you're level 61 like I am. I don't love tech. I love what it does for me. I don't really want to learn it. That's why I want my son and my sons and my daughter, I want them learning tech. If I need something done, I call my young wife and I say, hey, how do I do this on my phone? So I surround myself with people that are substantially younger than me because they get it.
Yeah.
And then on the final piece, I want to ask you, what are you selling? What's your product?
Okay. So I'm into cellular regenerative healing. Okay. So I do that with herbs and the right food. It's amazing to me because people say, oh, I have a good diet, but they're doing some major things, dairy, wheat, all kinds of stuff that's, tragic on the body. So detoxification, cellular detoxification with herbs. And then what I want to do, obviously I'm going to work with people and, I can make $120 an hour doing that, but that's going to limit me, right? So I want to have products to sell. And the other part of it is because, listen, not everybody's going to change their diet. Food's addictive. So if we just start with what you're putting on your body, and start there in baby steps, I want you to get up here. But if we have to start here to do it, you're already buying hair care products and stuff. So I have friends in that industry that create organic stuff. And so as soon as I get my website, I'm going to go down there and talk to them to see about what it would take to work with me to create a product line for me, start one place and grow it from there. So I've got all kinds of grand ideas that are unbelievable. And not for this question time, but another one, I can't wait to propose something to you because I know you're the guy who would be interested in it, but it's huge for humanity. And I appreciate the fact that, obviously you're making money. We all need to make money, but when we can give the gift of life, whether, you're doing it through helping people financially, thank you very much. And I want to do it through health. And so we all need to have this knowledge, whether you choose to use it or not, up to you, right? But
So,
everybody should know it's there.
so is part of your product line hair care?
It's going to be, I'm going to start there. I'm going to start with a shampoo, conditioner, and a body wash, and then grow it from there. I'm going to have to go to my friends and say, hey, and you can give me advice on this, but they do products for Suzanne Summers. That's the organic quality that they have. And so I was going to say, I don't have 10 grand or whatever it is to invest in you creating the product. I have no desire to create it, ship it, or anything else. But what if you create a design for me and a product for me, and we do 50-50, and I'll market the hell out of it. So that's, I've got to be creative in how I start.
I would agree. So I'm going to give you some creative starting.
Great.
Um, you you are in a line that one of my other students is already in. His
Okay.
name is Alan Eschenberg, and he goes by Keith or Alan Eschenberg. If you search out Keith Alan Eschenberg on Facebook, you'll find him. He has a company called Beligenza, and he and his sister are just the most remarkable human beings. They're just like you. They're just good people. And he was the wonder kid of the hair styling world for many years. And he's very personable, great spirit, great personality. And he would be brought into hair shows, and he would do hair shows because he's so good at what he does. And he's such a compelling personality. After a while, he saw that his hands were like in bad shape. And it was
Mhm.
from all the chemicals and all the processing that they do in hair care products. And he said, I can't do this. This is wrong. Not only is it wrong for me, but I can't do it, to the people that I'm taking care of their hair. So he created an entire hair care line that is exactly what you just described. Interestingly enough, you guys have the same color hair. And he's beautiful. He's got this gorgeous full head of beautiful silver white hair, and he's gorgeous. And so you're gonna hit it off. You're gonna become fast friends because he's got the same mindset. And I think that part of the challenge is that people don't realize how many creative minds you need in a process, and how
Mhm.
it's just somebody. You mentioned at the top of this call Adam on my team, and I
Mhm.
got to tell you, of my recent hires, he's been one of my favorite. One of the people that's come to the team because he's just always looking for new things to do, always looking, can I cover this for you, can I do that, can I do this, can I do that? And he solved one of our challenges. He and I were chatting, and I said, I think the process is convoluted getting people on the show. And I said, I'd like to streamline that. I'd like to make it one click, and they can be on the show. And if we want them on the show, great, we talk to them. And if we don't want them on the show, we say we don't want them on the show. And he did that, and he did it instantly, and he handles everything quickly. So I think that's what your relationship with Keith is going to be. You and Keith are going to chat. He needs people like you. He and his sister are in the industry. He and Cheryl are, like I said, you're going to love them. You're going to thank me a year from now, 10 years from now, 40 years from now, when we're all 100 years old. You say thank you. That was one of the best relationships I've ever had. You're gonna love these people. So,
Tell
Keith
me his
Allen.
last name again.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
spell it for you. ESCHENBURG. ESCHENBURG. Bird.
Okay.
Let them know that I sent you over there. You guys are going to love each other, and I think you're going to do great things for each other. Hey,
Well,
thanks so much.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you for everything. I just want to leave you with this. Tony
Yep,
Robbins, I've followed forever, and you know the presence he has,
he's
baby.
huge.
You have it in aces. So and you just draw people to you. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, you are a good schmoozer. I love you, and I cannot wait to meet you in person at Turning Point next month.
Hey, I don't say anything that's not true. So
That's
if you
good
get a
schmoozing.
compliment from me, it's because you're great.
I love you too. Take care. Yeah, we love people. I am very blessed that we just have awesome, awesome, awesome people that get on the show and ask questions. Speaking of awesome people, somebody who's a friend of the show, we've seen a couple of times since we launched. Oh, about a month and some change because we're only, let's see, we're like a month. We're in week 6. That's how new we are. Welcome back to the show, Daniel. Welcome home.
Hey, how's it going, Marshall?
As you know, it's always awesome.
Awesome. So, I come on these calls to download more of your programs as well, but so I have a question, and I wanted to just briefly give a little history on that, right? So, I have done things like I used to be in a 100% commission based sales over the phone, and I had trained myself to basically even through that, you only got paid for what you sold, and so sometimes you'd be sitting for like 5 hours, and if you haven't sold anything, you won't get anything, right? And I kind of trained myself mentally to be at the same level of inner joy or peace, what have you, like no matter how the day ended, right? And so I would do certain things like that. I went on a 90-day juice fast, which it's kind of funny how the universe works. Every time I hop in these calls, someone before me is talking about fasting or detoxing and things like that. So that's kind of interesting. And so I went down that path. I've done much more what people would consider extreme, like gone 7 days without food and water, which the experts say we can't live past 3 days. But these are the same experts telling us that we got to wear a mask and go 6 feet apart and take these vaccines that the human species have lived for eons before without, right? So anyhow, I've done a lot of these other strange things to kind of get my health in full order. And I guess you could call it spirituality or the mental. I'm not sure what to call that as of yet. But I've kind of neglected the career aspect, right? It's like I did everything backwards. Usually people get all the money first, and then they realize that, oh man, my health is important. If I don't have my health, I can't even make the money to begin with, and then they go down that path, usually in age and things. So I kind of went backwards, and it's like I've gotten to the point where I've gotten very healthy, right? Right now my voice has been gone from just. I had a really awesome weekend at an event where I was just screaming and dancing the whole time. So it's recovering, But I've gotten to the point where it's like, I've gotten, uh, you know, to me, I see health as like efficiency of the vehicle, right? So a lot of people need a lot of stimulants to keep going with their energy. But when your body can go without stimulants for long periods and still get the same thing done, right? If you could go without food for various extents, but still have even more energy than regular people, it's like your vehicle has become more efficient with what it has, right? And so with that. And I could run for miles at a time, and I'm not trying to like blast myself here. I'm getting to a point, but I could run for miles at a time, without getting tired, even though I haven't ran for a while. With the breath work and things like that, keep me healthy and whatnot. And so now it's like I got all those things down pat. It's like I feel like I'm at the 1% of health, And so now it's like, why can't I also, knowing how powerful we are as creators, right? Even though I've gotten very comfortable being in any scenario, why can't I also, they say 99% of the wealth is controlled by the 1%. But why can't I become that 1% too, you know? And also, we could do more good in the world when we have, it's like money becomes like a vote as to what happens in the world, right? And the more votes you could give, the better, right? So if I can do more good with this, and even help some of the people in my community that are amazing artists, amazing talents, but they just don't have that money part, that sales part. And so now it's like I'm left with, all right, now I'm coming back to my career, trying to get back into the material because I've denied the material for some time. Now I'm trying to
And
blend
because
them.
you have
What's
to,
that? Yeah, I have,
you
I
have
have
to.
that
Yeah, you have
basically.
to.
And so now the
No,
question
it's not.
becomes,
It's not basically. One of the things I love about you, Daniel, is you're obviously clearly a kind human being. You are a good person, and the challenge with that is you're not selfish enough. And there's a lot of people that watch my show that I'm talking to right now. You're not selfish enough. You need to put yourself first. And sometimes people think that selfishness is a bad thing. I don't. I very much, there's a book by Ayn Rand, and I might have even talked to you about it before because I've had this perception of you since we met. The book is called The Virtues of Selfishness. And if you're watching this show right now, you need to check out the book. Go Google it. Go find the book. It's by a woman named Ayn Rand, Ayn Rand. And Ayn Rand also wrote Atlas Shrugged. She wrote The Fountainhead. She came out of communist Russia, and the books that she wrote are, including Virtues of Selfishness, are about the whole idea of not living in a socialist society. That it's not a functional society. The challenge with a socialist society is everything is divided evenly amongst all the people. That's all well and good if you're one of the lazy people. If you're one of the lazy people, then you're benefiting from the efforts of all the people that are willing to go bust their butt because they don't want to starve. And the challenge in any environment where everything is evenly shared like that is it will come down to a group of people working their tails off, a group of people taking advantage of that work. And ultimately, the ones that work their tails off because they're taking care of everybody else can't take care of themselves and they die. And if
mm,
they die, it's the exact same thing that happens when you're on a commercial flight. Ooh, even saying those words makes me feel dirty. When you're on a commercial flight and the flight attendant says, in the event of a loss of cabin pressure, masks come down, place your oxygen mask on first, then assist the person beside you. And the reason's real simple. If you don't put your mask on first and you try to assist them unselfishly, they're thrashing. You won't get the mask on them, and both of you will die.
yeah,
Whereas if you put your mask on first, even if they're thrashing, you don't care because you're breathing fine. And that is the key. That's what
yeah,
you've got to do. And so I tell you this, your profession, your business has been about serving other people. And I want you to ponder this, and it's not going to sit well with you. You won't digest it, you won't embrace it right away because you haven't, except you have to. Your business needs to be about making money. If your business is about increasing the quality of other people's lives, that's awesome. Except your business has to be about making money. And if your business isn't about making money first, I don't care how much you serve other people, eventually you'll be out of business. Because if your whole mindset is, how do we assist other people? How do we serve other people? How do we do this and keep giving and giving and giving? Unfortunately, we're seeing it right now in the United States. There are people that take advantage of every person and everything they can. They never give back. They're takers, they're sewers, they're not good people. And us good people who really do care for other people, the challenge is if we go broke, we can't help anybody. I love
yeah,
my family very much. I have 10 siblings, and I believe in assisting them wherever I can. There was a point where I had to make a conscious decision to say no and not help every single thing that I could help with, just because it would put me in an awkward place. It might stretch me too
yeah,
thin. I might give with resentment. And I don't want to do any of those things. I want to, when I give, be able to give with a clear conscience, with no expectation of getting anything back, and feel really good about the process. And I think that that's what you need to get back to. You need to say, this is my business. So if you're a physical
Yeah.
therapist or a massage therapist or somebody that does something like that, someone says, hey, would you feel like coming over and giving me a massage? That you, even if it's your best friend, you say, you know what? It's what I do for a living. And I don't give free massages because if I do, I can't eat. If you're asking me would I like to come over and you'd like to hire me to give you a massage, I'd love to. And you'll get the best value anybody could possibly give you, except I don't give free massages. And I
Right.
think that's really, that's the mindset that you've got to adopt, or you won't ever get out of the financial turmoil you find yourself in right now.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because even I know these subjects get woo woo, but even with love, uh, I have found that it was finding love for myself that then overflowed my cup, and now I love everybody else so much. But it started with self-love, so that makes 100% sense. Thank you for that book. I'm gonna order that book right away, Virtues of Selfishness, because I think it would definitely help me. With that said, I wanted to ask, when it comes to sales, right? Because I've gotten to the point where I've really gotten to the level of like flow, right? And I just like to flow with things. I don't like to pressure things. And so when it comes to sales, it's like sometimes I feel like I'm pressuring the other person. So how could I get over not feeling like I'm pressuring the other person? And this is why I like following you as well, Marshall, because I notice that you have that directness that I could use, but you do it in such a way that it feels ethical to me. It resonates. And it's like, all I care about is like, I don't mind to be pushy, but if it's like, at least in an ethical way that resonates with my spirit, like I could do that. So how do I, you know, um, do
Do you have
that?
any friends?
I do. I have too many. I mean, there's not too
Good.
many, but I'm just kidding.
No, I understand, but there's a point of me asking that. I'm not surprised you said what you just said. You probably do have too many friends. So if you discovered you're out at dinner one night and your friend's acting off, and you say, what is going on with you? I've never seen you act this way. And they say, you know what? I need to confess something to you. I'm a heroin addict.
Mm.
What do you do to get them off drugs?
It depends on a lot of things, but I usually tell them to fast. That's one of
The
the things.
short answer, and that certainly is one of them. Um, you would do anything. You would do anything you had to do to get them off drugs because you love your friend.
Hmm.
That's the distinction. I'm not pushy. I don't sell things I don't believe in. I only sell things I believe in. So I'm not being pushy. I'm doing somebody a favor. And if in the moment they don't understand that I'm doing them a favor, I don't care. It's not about me, it's about them. So if I know I'm doing them a favor, I have a moral and ethical obligation to sell them. You said it already. You said people vote with their wallets. They do. I make my level of commitment based upon how much money I put into something. So if I buy something for $1, I've got a commitment to that. If I lose it or it breaks or I misplace it or somebody snags it, it's okay. It was $1. But if it was something that I paid $100,000 for, I'm going to protect it. I'm going to watch over
Yeah.
it. I'm going to make sure, if it's my Rolls Royce, I'm going to park it more carefully than I park my Hyundai. And that's just a fact. It's human nature for most people. And the same thing is true of your services, is that people will appreciate what you do even more when they've invested or voted with their wallet. And I think greatest lesson for you is you're not pushing anybody. You're offering up a service, and the fact of the matter is your relationship with money is healthy enough. You're okay with asking for it. You're amazing. Always great to have you on the show. Thanks for calling in, brother.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Marshall.
Betcha. Hey, you know what? You are loved. We've had a phenomenal show. I mentioned Sliver repeatedly, mentioned watching the eclipse. You could see that little curve right there, proving it's not a flat moon, not a flat sun, not a flat earth. Nobody said the secret word. The word of the day was crescent. Nobody got it on 4/9. So you know what that means on 4/10? On 4/10, it goes up to $9,500. That's tomorrow. You get to vote. Was it Daniel or was it Crystal today who were the most fascinating callers? I know this is a tough choice. They're both good looking people. They're both supernaturally attractive. So in the chat on the social media platform you're on, let me know. Say, give this over to Daniel, give this over to Crystal, whoever you to give the silver to is who I will give the silver to tomorrow. It's been a phenomenal show. I love being here with you. Go out and make this the greatest day of your life. I'm Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker, and I'll see you tomorrow on our show. Tomorrow we got a great guest, by the way. I've got Adley, who is a person who can show you how to make your videos go viral. This woman's astounding. So make sure you tune in early tomorrow. Adley is going to be on the show. I look forward to seeing you. Bye for now. Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.